Today, I'd like to revisit a video that I made a couple of years ago. It was about having an accessory on your smartphone that I think most people would just love. That'd be a small screen on the back side of the camera where the good lenses are, so that you could frame videos that you make with those back cameras. It would make doing your vlogs, doing your talking head, and doing your two-person interviews so easy if you had that. But sadly, the smartphone manufacturers have never come up with it. Actually, Sony does have one on one of their high-end smartphones. But by the time you put this little accessory screen on there and buy the phone, you're going to be out about $1,500 or $1,800. It's not cheap. But they could actually throw a little screen on there, one like that's on a Pocket Osmo or an Action 4 or something like that, pretty cheap. But they don't do it. And I think it's a really disservice that they don't. I think they'd sell a lot more smartphones and people would be a lot happier with the camera results that they get. But we probably never know because they haven't even made a hint about doing it. I'd really like to see that. Anyway, I included a little clip from that previous video so you can see what I was thinking at the time. I think it'll be pretty good and pretty informative. I really don't have a lot of time to shoot video right now because I've got two sick cats that I'm trying to nurse back to health. One of them's dripping an IV and he really doesn't feel good. The local vets here really haven't given us a solution yet. But at any rate, watch the video and please comment so I can forward those comments on to the smartphone manufacturers. Thanks for watching. This is JR, the TechSpat OTG. One thing I'd like to say about cell phones is there's one feature that they all should have, and I just don't see why the cell phone manufacturers are ignoring it. It seems so obvious that most people I ask about that say, oh man, yes, I'd love to have that. So we'll talk about it. Well, has anybody ever wondered what the marketing people at the smartphone companies are doing? Sometimes I really wonder. Every time I get a new smartphone, I think about this. What do most people use their smartphones for other than texting and chatting and things like that, video calls? They use them for selfies. And the best cameras for the selfies are the ones on the back. They're the best cameras on the smartphone, but it's really hard to do a selfie or to vlog with the back cameras because you can't frame yourself. So what in the world are they thinking? Why didn't they do something to help us? How about putting a little screen on the back? It doesn't have to be a big screen. It can just be a screen the size of the one on a Pocket Osmo, like the one I'm using right now. They'd sell so many more cell phones if they had that. Well, I don't know if they would or not. They're going to sell the cell phones anyway. But they'd sure make a lot of users happier, that's for sure. I know I'd be happier. Sometimes I use mine for vlogging, but usually I don't because I can't frame myself well. Even with the wide angle, it doesn't work that well at all. If you use the front camera, you get an inferior camera, and it's just nowhere as good as the back cameras. And also doesn't have all the features of the back cameras. The back cameras actually got image stabilization and a lot of other features that the front cameras don't have. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they think at all. There are a few companies that make back screens. I know Sony has a new camera that has a back screen add-on. I think it's $300 and the phone's a couple of thousand. So you're going to spend more for that than you would if you bought a Sony a7 IV. People seem pretty comfortable in the $1,000 range for a cell phone these days. So what would it cost them to put that little screen on the back? Not much, I think. Well, I think that I'm going to stick with my little V50 smartphone. I do use it a lot. I use it for B-roll and use it as a second camera sometimes to my big camera. I think it's great, but boy, would that little screen on the back make it a very, very, very useful tool. Like I said, I don't see why they don't do it. It just doesn't make sense. I'm happy with my V50. I just think I could be a lot happier if the phones had little screens on the back. That's it. Every phone should have one.